If you're ever driving late at night, don't do what they did. Two boys picked up a girl on the side of the road while they were on their way to a school dance. In the car, she kept saying that she was cold, so one of the boys gave her his jacket. But when the night ended and they were about to drop her off, the girl accidentally left with the jacket. So the boys said that they would just come back the next day to get it. But when they came back and knocked on her door, they discovered something that would make them question what is real and what isn't. An old woman opened the door and asked them who they were looking for. After talking to her for a while, it was revealed that the girl they found on the side of the road was her daughter. But the thing is, she had been dead for 12 years. She was killed in a car accident at the same street corner they first saw her. The old woman pointed to a cemetery down the road and said, "That's where we buried her." The boys didn't believe her at first. They'd spent the whole night with this girl, so they knew that she had to be real. But they went to the cemetery and saw the boy's jacket draped over a gravestone. And on the gravestone was the girl's name and the date of her death, exactly 12 years ago to the day.
This is the terrifying story of Amelia the Doll.
There was this woman who was living in this 100-year-old house. And as beautiful as the house was, there was this very dark energy coming from it, and she thought it was caused by the doll that she bought.
The doll was named Amelia, and she was made in 1994. And what's incredibly creepy is that when the woman first bought the doll, her eyes were blue.
And everything was fine for years, but one day the doll's eyes turned this bright green. It basically just happened overnight without any explanation. And that is when weird things started happening in the house.
She got woken up every night by a crying baby, and she'd walk around the house and wouldn't be able to find any source of the sound. She would also hear doors slamming and her floor creaking. It always sounded like someone was walking towards her bedroom.
So she had some paranormal investigators come to her house, and they immediately found out that it was the doll causing all these problems.
If you're ever walking and hear a sound behind you, look up, for it might be the Gasha Dokuru. The Gasha Dokuru are skeleton giants who walk around in the middle of the night. If they see a human, they will quietly walk up behind them, bite off their head, and drink their spraying blood. Soldiers that die on the field and people that die of starvation usually do not have their final rites read. In Japanese culture, that means that their soul cannot pass on and they're reborn as a hungry ghost. When the bones of hundreds of those souls gather together, they become the skeleton monster known as Gasha Dokuru.
This is a scary story about never take candy. There was a young girl named Elena who loved to eat candy. One day on her way home from school, she passed a man selling candy on the side of the road. Elena didn't have any money, but the man told her he would give her some candy for free. Elena was delighted. She grabbed the bag of candy and ate it in minutes. Not long after, she began to feel painful abdominal cramps. As the night went on, the pain got worse and worse. Elena couldn't stand it anymore, so her father took her to the hospital. The doctors examined her, but couldn't figure out the source of the problem. But after taking an x-ray, they were shocked. Her stomach was missing, and there was a large dark mass in her belly. They decided she had to get surgery immediately. When they cut her open and looked in her belly, they found a hairy creature inside, the size of a fist. The creature ate Elena's whole stomach. The only thing the surgeons could do was bypass the stomach completely. This meant for the rest of her life, whatever Elena ate went in one end and came out the other. So be careful, don't ever take candy from strangers.
Can you solve this mystery? This is a story about a young girl whose brother confessed to killing their parents, but things are not as they seem. All the clues to what really happened are hidden in what I'm about to say. So one day this young girl decided to tell her friend about the terrible tragedy. Her friend asked about what happened to her brother after the confession. She said he got arrested, went to trial, and eventually was found guilty and sentenced to death by lethal injection. During the execution, her brother never said a word. He gave no explanation and just stared at her blankly as they gave him the injection. The young girl admitted after that she couldn't eat or sleep. She had so many questions, but no one left to give her answers. She tried to block out the terrible memories and suffered from depression and even amnesia. The friend suggested she go to a psychic to find some answers, so she did. She asked, "What drove my brother to lose his mind?" And the psychic said, "Your brother was always perfectly sane." The girl asked, "So then why did my brother kill our parents?" And the psychic said, "Your brother was only responsible for the death of one person." Suddenly, the girl understood everything. She broke down crying. What really happened to this family? Can you solve this mystery? If someone asked to put makeup on you, don't do what she did. One night, a girl in Japan was walking home at night when she came across an elderly woman. It seemed like the woman was walking around aimlessly. She was wearing an oversized hat and had a cane. While she had wrinkles on her face, she also wore quite a bit of makeup. The young girl didn't think much of it until the old woman came up to her and asked if she wanted to try some of her makeup powder. She said that she loved using it and it would make the young girl so much more beautiful. She didn't want to be rude, so she agreed. What could be the harm? But she could have never imagined the horrifying consequences this could possibly lead to. The moment the white powder was applied to her face, she felt a deep burning sensation. Then she felt the flesh on her face fall off. The old woman was the face powder hag, a creature from Japanese urban legend who tricks young girls into putting on her makeup. When the young girls' faces begin to rot and fall off until there's nothing left but a skull, she will steal their flesh for herself. What she does with it is still a mystery.